Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 14, chapter titled Brahma's Prayers to Lord Krishna, and we are seeing today 27th verse. So you can all repeat. Tvam Atmanam Param Matva Param Atmanam Eva Cha Atma Puna Vahi Mrigyah Aho Agnya Janata Agnataha Tvam Atmanam Param Matva Tvam Atmanam Param Matva Param Atmanamevacha Param Atmanamevacha Atma Punarbahir Mrigya Atma Punarbahir Mrigya Agnyo Ahognya Janata Agnata Ahognya Janata Agnata Tvam Atmanam Param Matva Param Atmanamevacha Atma Punarbahir Mrigya Ahognya Janata Agnata. Tvam, you, Atmanam, the real self, Param, something else, Matva, thinking, Param, something else, Atmanam, yourself, Eva, indeed, Cha, also, Atma, the Supreme Self, Punaha, again, Bahihi, outside, Mrigyaha, must be searched out. Aho, oh, Agnya, ignorant. Janata, of persons. Agnyata, the ignorance. Translation and purport. Translation. Just see the foolishness of those ignorant persons who consider you to be some separated manifestation of illusion, and who consider the self, which is actually you, to be something else, the material body. Such fools conclude that the Supreme Soul is to be searched for somewhere outside your Supreme Personality. Purport. Lord Brahma is amazed at the gross ignorance of conditioned souls who consider Lord Krishna's supreme spiritual body to be material. Ignorant of the spiritual form of the Lord, such persons also consider their own material bodies to be the self, and therefore they conclude that spiritual reality is to be found somewhere beyond the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna. Sometimes such fools consider Lord Krishna to be one of many individual souls who together constitute a single impersonal spiritual entity. Unfortunately, such speculators are not inclined to hear from the Lord himself or from the Lord's authorized representatives, such as Lord Brahma. Because they whimsically speculate on the nature of the Supreme, their ultimate result is confusion and ignorance. which they euphemistically describe as the mystery of life. Namo Vishnupataya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vikasa Swaminiti Namine. Namo Vishnupataya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Pashyad Deshatarine. Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare Tvam Atmanam Param Matva Param Atmanam Evacha Atma Punar Bahirmrigya Ahognya Ajnataha. So we are continuing with this 14th chapter of 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. And these are all the wonderful prayers of Lord Brahma. After he became, he came out of his illusion himself. Today he is talking about the ignorant people and, people who are in deep illusion. A few chapters behind, or even the last chapter, we found the all-powerful Brahma himself was deeply engrossed in illusion. So these are very sweet prayers. Srila Prabhupada used to quote this very often. All this, some of these verses from this chapter. In fact, he used to explain, Srila Prabhupada used to write somewhere that these verses should be the guide to all devotees how to practice Krishna consciousness. So the beautiful prayers which actually makes us understand that the importance of being Krishna conscious. So we see that in the previous verses we saw that the Brahma actually came and explained. I mean, he actually praised the beauty of the Lord. Praising the beautiful limbs of the Lord. How he looked beautiful. And then he declared that his original beauty is actually more than his sweetness is more beautiful than his actual limbs of the Lord. That is the beauty of Krishna's pastimes. Krishna's pastimes is the Leela, the sweetness of the expression of his Leela, or how he actually reciprocates his the Leela with the other devotees or the gopis. That is much more, captivating. So Brahma understood that, even though he was, for a moment, he got swayed by this, illusion. That, who is this small boy doing all these kind of activities in Braja? And I am the fellow who actually created this entire universe. And suddenly I am seeing a small boy roaming here and there, and he was also a cowhead boy. And everybody is praising and everything is happening behind him. So then he understood that, here is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, whom we went and actually prayed. They all went and prayed. And he is the one who actually told everybody that Supreme Personality of Godhead is going to come. And he is the one who should be knowing first that he is Supreme Personality of Godhead. In spite of everything, that is the illusion which he goes into. So then he explains that, there is no fruit, there is no point in explaining the Supreme Personality of Godhead outside the Vedic authority. See, everything what we have to explain or we have to understand about Krishna, about Supreme Personality of Godhead is all given in the Vedic authority. In the page of Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita. And so we understand it very clearly that, all these things are actually explained through the Vedic authority. So realizing this, he condemned himself that, what a mistake I have made. And then, he prayed to the Lord that, let me be born as a grass in Vrindavan, or, as an animal in Vrindavan, or as, a tree in Vrindavan, as a flower in Vrindavan. That will be my greatest glory. So that he also praised. Then he circumambulated the Lord and left. And what happened actually after that? Krishna was continuing his pastimes as if nothing happened. 1 year has passed. He has taken the calves and cows, and and the gopas as well, actually. Then suddenly as if nothing happened. Krishna was normal. So he started continuing with his pastimes. So in today's verse, we are seeing the beautiful word, the point which comes is Agnya Janata Agnyata. What a beautiful thing is. Agnya means ignorant. Janata means people. And Agnyata means the ignorance. So what it actually says, the ignorance of the ignorant. So the ignorance of the ignorant. See, the ignorant people, they themselves don't know that they are deeply embroiled in ignorance. Agnya, Janata, Agnyata. So this is the thing that, Srila Prabhupada writes immediately, that the fools conclude that the Supreme Soul has to be searched outside the Supreme Personality. The Supreme Soul is actually there. And the Supreme Soul, where we have to find something away from Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is exactly what you hear from people when you go and see the so-called theists. Theist means people who believe in God. They say that what is Supreme? Supreme means Supreme Shakti. Supreme means, Supreme Energy. Or Supreme means I am Supreme. All this, a concoction comes from ignorance first. And the second thing is, they presume that, they have to find the Supreme somewhere outside the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That is the, exact thing that, here Lord Brahma is also telling. What a foolishness that, these people are not able to understand that there is a person called Krishna, there is a Supreme Person called Krishna, and from which the Supreme Soul comes, and that is the Supreme Soul which is imbibed in us also. And that is the Supreme Soul we are also a part of. But still, we don't accept all these aspects. And we actually think that somewhere outside, somewhere some Shakti is there, or somewhere something else is there, where we have to search for the Supreme Truth. So, that is the thing that, the second more butter, stealing butter, or, urinating in other gopis' houses. All these things we hear from the pages of Srimad Bhagavatam. These are all like a normal kid in a village. If you go to a village, a normal kid does all this. He comes out of the house, he plays with the calves, he goes and, desecrates the neighbor's house. All these things happens. So, the point is that, for a confused person, the confusion is even more apparent. Why a confused person? He is not able to understand whether it is personalism, impersonalism, or it is something we have to search inside or outside, or where is that, Supreme Truth where I have to go and, surrender to. Complete confusion. And that is why sometimes, people say that in spite of all, there's a lot of confusion. Why we have to search for the Supreme Truth? Let me be atheist itself. That is much more better. There is no confusion. There is no God. It's much more simpler. Rather than going and telling there is God and 10 people coming and telling me 10 different things and I'm getting confused even more. So, the point is that, that's the last line of the purport Srila Prabhupada concludes, that you will always be confused because you have never surrendered to Krishna or you have made an effort to hear from the representatives of Krishna. The words of Lord Brahma is more authentic in this 14th chapter of Bhagavatam, that, we are not able to understand or not be willing to surrender to these words of Lord Brahma. So, that is the thing. And Srila Prabhupada writes in the last line that, for the people, this is something what they euphemistically describe as the mystery of life. See, what happens is, they have got confused themselves. They didn't understand anything. What is life? And at the end of the life or at some point, they understand, oh, that is the mystery of life. Life is very mysterious. We will not be able to understand. So, this is like, I am not able to understand. I am a confused person. I am ignorant. And they think that the whole world is ignorant or the whole world is mysteryful. There was this... a beautiful, what I would say, those so-called New Age spiritualists. There are many of them today. Some of them are very famous. One of the fellow who started this, great movement, telling people that, what is how to live. No, there should be an art to live. And that, he wrote a book, that Living the Mystery of Life. Today Prabhupada is addressing exactly the same point. Living the Mystery of Life is his book name. And what he is saying is, life is mysterious. and how to live that mysterious life. Man, if you are knowing that the life is mysterious and you don't know what about life, and how will you teach others that how to live life? You don't know what is life is. You understood or came to a conclusion that life is mysterious. I'm not able, what does life means mysterious? I'm not able to understand. This temple is mysterious, which means I don't understand how the temple works. The material world is mysterious, which means I don't understand how the material world works. So according to you, life is mysterious. But you are going and explaining to all your so-called sishyas that, living the mysterious life, how to live those mysterious life. So this is the crazy ideas the brain gives. Srila Prabhupada writes here that, people think that the Supreme is actually a combination of all individual souls. That is something called dual soul theory. There is something called dual soul theory. And somebody, propagated that dual soul theory that, each soul has a dual nature. One nature is material, another nature is spiritual. So at the same point, it can be spiritual, it can be material. All concoctions, all concoctions. How can be that Supreme Rod is a sum of all individual souls? Which means that all individual souls are here, so Lord is actually less. Once we all go and join back to Him, He will become complete. Exact opposite. Purnat Purnamidam Uchyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Visishyate. He is always Purnam. Even though He became, He actually expanded Himself to multiple living organisms or, Jivatmas, still He is Purna. Not that, He is reduced 1 million times because 1 million living entities are living in this material world. And He is eagerly waiting, oh please come and join me so that I become complete, I become Purnam. No, it is not like that. So this is all the people who actually don't know that, how we are going to actually live their life. And that is the most, pitiful situation. That, I don't know what this life is and why I have to go and tell others what life is if I don't know anything. Why can't I tell to them that, yes, I don't know what life is. I'm struggling to know what life is. Let me surrender to somebody who knows what life is. That they will not do. That they will not do. The other fellow who started a great movement, all around the world, who taught to the people that, whenever you want to do anything, please do it. Don't restrict yourself. Over a period of time, you will come to know that, you have to control yourself. Now there is no point in controlling your senses. That is his, propagator or motto of life. So he started a great movement. And he also writes the same thing, that, life is completely a mystery. And the entire life is a fiction. So what he says is, that's what we also say. Jagan Mithya, this entire Jagat is a Mithya. It's a fiction. It's, unreal. But not true. The famous story which has been quoted always is that, you have to synchronize the inner self. How do you synchronize the inner self? These are all what they call to other people that, do something with yourself, synchronize the inner self with outside self, all this gyan they give. And one time he was asked about, how do you understand this? So this man is giving a story to all his disciples. What the story he is giving is, there was a man who lived in a forest. And that man, how he was living his life is that, he was serving a master. And the master asked him, okay, cut wood and, bring water from the well. So this fellow used to go and, cut wood and, for his master and bring some water from the well to the master. So suddenly, one fine day, he started synchronization of his inner self with the outer self. How it happened? God only knows. Now that man really understood now that, now I am a self-realized person. I am actually understood what life is. And, now I know what life is. Mystery of life is solved for me. So, the next day also he came, he cut wood and brought water from well to the master. So, another person told that, yesterday you told that you have already achieved something, but still you are doing the same job what you did day before yesterday. So, what did you achieve yesterday? So the man said, no, because I achieved inner synchronization, I am able to see everything as real. What did you see everything as real? So when I go to cut wood, I am able to see that each stone is a diamond. Everything is actually so precious. And each birds are chirping. And that birds chirping looks like a song of God. So now I am understanding there is so much beauty in the nature. And that is what, I understood, that's the inner self to the outer self. So these are all what I feel is that, when you actually sit and understand that these people are completely confusing their people. And poor people, common man does not understand. Common man is already confused. Why you are confusing him more? The common man doesn't know what his life is. Already he is struggling. No, that's another person. That is another thing that this fellow came, and that is a third person who actually coined a term that was actually inserted into the Webster's dictionary. Webster's dictionary actually inserted a word called inner engineering. So, what is that inner engineering? That, you have to engineer or you have to transform your inner self so that you become the supreme self. So, these are all what we understand is that the objective of these people are very, very clear. The objective of these people is that, there are this upper middle class or upper class people who are confused, who have money. And what we have to do is, in the name of word jugglery, let me try to captivate this, upper middle class and middle class people and get their money and confuse them more. The more they get confused, the more money I will get. So, it's like a mathematical equation. The more, the proportionately more confusion, it's equal to more money. So, the fellows who have really become big, or the fellows who have really started a big organization, means the proportionate of confusion will be even more. So, but they cannot go and help the common man on the road. The common man on the road is already confused. He is struggling the whole life. He is not able to eat. Even though he is working hard, his family is struggling. Even though he is doing everything in his capacity to, at least come up in life. Still, he doesn't know what to do in life. Life is mysterious for him. But these people will not go to them and solve their problem because he doesn't have money. What is the point in bringing them to their ashram? Bringing them, confusing inner self, inner engineering, all those things. What's the point? Because that man needs food tomorrow. He needs a house to live. He needs his kids to send to school. His kids have to eat. So the point here is that we as a human being, we have to understand that, we are actually very minute. We don't know that the Lord is a supreme person and, He is controlling everything. Srila Prabhupada actually starts his purport by explaining that, how foolish these people are, that they think that Lord Krishna has come in a human form. Avajananti mam huda manushim tanumashata. We think that, he has come in a material form like us. Mam muda avajananti. And what he is actually, and what Krishna says, the third line, parambhava majananto. People don't understand my, supreme self or my, parambhava. And I am the actually Mamabhuta Maheshwaram. I am the Maheshwara. I am the universe controller. I only created everything. What you see, everything has been created by me. But what happens is, people are still confused that, I am the fellow who has created everything. I am in front of you. Krishna is telling to Arjuna, but we still don't, we believe his words. And he also tells that, what is this Satchidananda Vigraha? Today we are, worshipping this Vigraha here. He is also Krishna himself. He is come in the form of Vigraha for us to worship him. We are not, understanding this. That is exactly what, the another verse which comes in Bhagavatam also explains this in the first canto, second chapter of Bhagavatam, which explains about all the avatars. There also it's explained, Kritavan kila karmani, Saharamena Keshava. So what he came, Saharamena Keshava, along with Rama, Keshava came, and what he did? Kila karmani. He did so wonderful activities. Atimarthyanam Bhagavan. That no, so many beautiful activities which you and me cannot perform was performed by Bhagavan. And how he came? And Guda Kapata Manusha. He came actually as a masked human being. Guda Kapata Manusha. He came like a Manusha, Guda, covered, masked. And that mask is what the others think that he is a human being. And that is the mask he removes for the devotees so that they can see him face to face. Same person. Duryodhana was not able to see him. Arjuna is able to see him. So that is the Guda Kapata Manusha. So Lord shows that whenever he wants to show something, he will show to you. So if we want to actually see God as he is, then we have to surrender to him. And Srila Prabhupada writes in the last lines here that why we are actually